Hello everyone and welcome to the Actual Magician's bookshelf. Yes, I am an actual magician, and today I've come up to Castlerigg Stone Circle, which is also known as the Druids Circle, and this is a part of the Lake District World Heritage Site, and it's only literally a few minutes from where I live. It takes about a good hour to walk, but maybe 4 minutes by car, so I thought you'd enjoy a trip with me, because I need to get some fresh air today, actually be at the stones, reconnect to the land. It's a quiet Sunday here, so hopefully it shouldn't be too busy. It's not very good if people are standing on the stones or sitting on the stones. Sometimes people have been wild camping here, which isn't allowed, so and it's always very busy at the solstice and the festivals and so forth, so it's good when it's quiet. I'll take you into the centre of the stones in a second and we'll take a look at those, and we can have a look at the landscape. This is just up from Exeter, so it's very picturesque. A lot of tourists come here. There's even an ice cream van. I don't know if you can see it between the trees there. There's an ice cream van. And when we come up here to do rituals, it's usually not at the festivals because it's way too busy. There are a lot of pleasant walks around here as well, so but it's always very busy when the festivals, and particularly the summer solstice, it gets way too busy here for it to be sensible to do any sort of private or quiet ritual, anything that seems not sacrilegious to the stones. People set fires here and all sorts of things, pour petrol, and when they're doing fire breathing and things like that all over the stones. So there's a good photography spot just over here somewhere. You can usually find it by looking where the grass is a bit flatter. So let's take a look. It's usually about here, and now we can turn around and see the stones themselves. So this is Castlerigg Stone Circle. It's a bit unknown as to what its original function was or how long it's been here, but it was known to the Victorians certainly as the Druid Circle. So you can see over there, that's looking up to Exeter, and that's also called Saddleback because from certain angles it looks like a saddle on a horse, and that's where the infamous sharp edge is. You can just about see that ridge in the distance. That usually culls about one tourist a year, one walker, one fell walker, one climber, and so forth. And my mother-in-law or ex-mother-in-law used to say they should put a sign up there. I always used to think, well, what sort of sign are they going to put up? It is called Sharp Edge. It is a sharp edge. It's also got a bit of landscape on it called the Bad Step that people slide off and fall to their death. So it is called Sharp Edge and the Bad Step. Hello to those joining me live. I'm here at Castlerigg Stone Circle just for a breath of fresh air today. I didn't want to be stuck in front of the computer. I've done way too many lives from the computer, recordings and things like that over the last few days, so it's important to get some fresh air every now and again, get grounded and so forth. And in a bit, when it's a bit quieter, I'll take us into the middle of the stones and we can take a look at the landscape that's around. I always used to think that the stones were set here really because it would be visible to everyone coming for a meeting, some sort of gathering, maybe trade, maybe religious, maybe just social, but it would be possible coming up the valley this way. You can take a look down the valley you come all the way round from the horizon there, around from, I think that's south facing, and then if you were coming from the east, you'd be sort of coming over there by the side of Castlerigg, down that valley where the A66 is now. And if you were coming from north or from the coast, you'd be actually over that way somewhere. So you'd be able to see Castlerigg really clearly from all of those directions, particularly if people were here, if there were fires here. Obviously, back in the day, going back a long time, everywhere would be forested like the woods here. So it would be important as you came up the valleys. I wish people wouldn't actually stand on the stones. It's not very, it's not really honouring the stones very much. But yeah, so you'll be able to see, if you have a look, there's been some reforestation here. There are areas in the Lake District where they're reforesting now, and that would have been typical of the landscape going back a long time before we started agriculture. You can see actually there's some cows in the field here. So all of this area would have been deforested. Off in the distance behind those tourists coming up, you can see some sheep, the famous Herdwick sheep of the area. So it would have been forested like that, but as you came over the brow of that hill or along the valley, you'd be able to see this area because it's flat, it's wide, and it's in the centre of just about everything. Now, what we're going to do is just wait until some of these people have gone, so I can talk a bit more clearly. Quite often we come up here to do rituals when it's quiet, when there's no one here. You used to be able to come up here Halloween night, and quite often I was here one midnight on Samhain, and there was a full moon that night. It was, the clouds were scudding. You can imagine how the clouds were scudding across the sky. The moonlight was shining, and I stood in the centre of the stone circle, and you could literally feel it thrumming underneath your feet. Here's the fool's dog. The fool's dog here. Hello, fool's dog. Welcome to the stone circle. Yeah, you could literally feel it like a sort of energetic battery underneath the ground, like a dynamo sort of thrumming around and around and around. And it wasn't even necessary to do a ritual. You could feel the energy just coming up through your feet. I feel like saying hello to the fool's dog. So if you've got any questions about hedge witchery, paganism, witchcraft, druidism, if I can answer those, I'm happy to answer those. Once came up here with my young son, and he was touching the stones. And at that time, there was a whole group of people here dowsing society members. They were dowsing each of the stones, and my son went round and he was touching the stones and talking to them, because we told him that the stones would talk to him. There's the fool's dog. That the stones would actually talk to him if he listened enough, and so he was putting his ear to them and so on. And the dowsers became really interested, and they were following him around as he was listening to each of the stones. He must have been about 7 or 8 at the time. And they asked him what the stones were saying, and he looked at them really seriously and said, "They say that your dowsing is giving them a headache." And I always remember that. That was, yeah, that was actually what the stones were saying. And sometimes I like to walk in the main gateway, so we'll have a look at coming in through the main entrance of the stones. And then there's a sort of where those people are having their photo taken over there, there's a sort of enclave area just there. That's quite often where we put ritual items for a ritual. Yeah, I don't know why people are kicking and standing on the stones. Again, it's not very honouring the stones, but you can see here this is like the main entrance to the stones. And when we do a ritual, we usually walk straight in the middle here and then go into the centre. So let's just walk with me into the stones. I'm going to show you a little secret as well that I don't think most people know. You see this area in the middle here, this is usually where people unfortunately light campfires and things like that, so they sort of ruin the grass. Quite often as well, this is really wet, it's really flooded as well, so you can sort of stand in the middle. Quite often they're dry flowers here and stuff. But take a look at the stones now and have a look in the distance, and to me they look like they're the models of the hills behind them. You can see this stone and the ridge behind it, and then this lumpy stone here and the ridge behind that, and then if you have a look at this stone and have a look in the distance, you can see the mountain behind that, the sharp pointy ones here with the sharp pointy one up there. And as you look around, you can actually see that each of these stones, I think they are a model. Notice that curve there, and then that there with the hills in the background. I would say that these stones here are a model of the hills around them. And it's really obvious when you stood here that each of these stones is actually a little mini representation of the mountains. As you look around, you can see this flat bit here, the flat bit in the background. Then if we go over here, you'll be able to see exactly what I mean by that. So if I just drop down like that, you can see that that stone perfectly matches the hill behind it in the distance there. And it wouldn't surprise me that the people who put the stones here were not just making a model of the landscape around them, sort of the sort of sacred landscape. You can see there, it's a sort of match. Then we come out the other side of the stones, then we can look back at them, walking back away from them. Welcome to those joining us live. I'm just taking us on a wayfarer tour of Castlerigg Stone Circle, which is just a few minutes drive away from where I live here in Exeter. I actually live on the outskirts, and you can get a better view here now of Sharp Edge up on Castlerigg there. It's where people go up and walk, and once a year at least one person falls off. The Lake District is really safe to walk. There aren't many huge mountains, like it's not like the Alps or Rockies or even the Scottish or Island mountains. It's far more of a gentle tourist area here, but sometimes people don't really respect the place. They don't really respect how the weather can change, and they end up getting lost, having to. The mountain rescue here is always being called out. Their call outs have gone up a lot now that a lot of influencers keep coming here, which is unfortunate. You can see this general area here. There's like a stone here. This is where I took the picture of Rachel Pollack when she was here. She did things actually at the stones, and you can see that there's like a little enclave area here, and quite often we just place ourselves here in the middle. Then you can use this as a nice altar stone, and you can use this to walk into this little area. But again, all these people standing on the stones and climbing up them, it's not really respecting the stones very much, I'm afraid. This is why I really don't come here when it's festival time and stuff, because people are just camping, damaging the stones, damaging the ground. It's not very respectful at all, despite what their pretensions might be. So it's always best to come when it's quiet. Yeah, particularly with the screaming children and so forth. You can see why Ricky said the stones had a headache. I think I would if I had all of these people clambering all over me. I feel like we should do perhaps a little ritual in the centre. Sometimes do a banishing ritual, even if I have to do it quietly. And just stand in the centre area here. At the solstice, the sun rises where we're looking, just over there, and it rises in the east, and it comes all the way across the stones from sort of this line here, and then it comes across all the way and then sets in the west over this direction here. So this is north, well wait, no, sorry, yes, that's north, east, south and west. And obviously what I'm actually doing is the banishing ritual in my head, even though I'm talking out loud and pointing out the directions. So you can see the sort of general shape of things over that way, and where the sun rises sort of over this way and over that way. So you can actually do a banishing ritual in the middle of the stone circle without anyone actually realizing what you're doing. There we go. Calling in the angelic forces each quarter. Okay, so I'm making a little T cross with my feet. That's the way I tend to do the banning ritual. There we go. And the banishing ritual together at Castlerigg. I wasn't expecting to be doing that with everyone today, but here we are. We can also go and have a look at each of the stones individually. People like to run around the stones. I think we're going to do it clockwise. So, say hello to the stones. So now I'm actually casting the circle by walking around the stones, visualising a line of light in my head. And this is the way magic is actually done, just in real life, in the midst of the people, taking photos, taking selfies. Everyone recognising that they're here in some way or another. There we go, we have a nice wool-bound feather. That's actually been deliberately knotted by somebody. This is a ritual item. And as I say, this is how magic actually works in the present moment, just being present, allowing the universe to be magical, because it is. And this is how people miss what's actually going on around them all of the time. Wall feather circle. People practicing their yoga on the stones, that's nice. Yeah, who needs a magic wand? Yeah, that's Skiddaw over there. It's behind where my house is. Protection and guidance, excellent. And you see, knots are very magical things in themselves. There might actually be a natural knot, but that's wool from the Herdwicks. Accidentally banish some tourists, I think that's what we've done. Banishing the tourists. So quite often having Shinto ritual. Hey, thanks Neil, thanks for the super, been very much appreciated. So, go towards the petrol for the drive here, thank you. I was thinking of actually sitting and writing something while I was here, maybe we can do that. So I'm just crouched down just by the side of the stones here. I did bring a pen and paper just in case. Always have a pen and paper around just in case some bright idea. My second occult teacher used to say something profound and then yell, "Why is no one writing this down?" And at one point I did start to write down some of his witticisms and wisdom. The one which comes to mind at the moment is, "You become that by which you surround yourself." Quite often they were biblical as well. So I have some paper here. So how about a haiku? Charlotte Louise is currently doing a haiku a day exercise. So perhaps we can do a haiku from the stones. So that's 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and then 5 syllables. So let's start with, you see, I was going to start with black feather and wool, but using the word "and" in a haiku is redundant, particularly as you only have so few syllables to play with. So wool-bound black feather, how about that? Wool-bound black feather. Wool-bound black feather, that's 5 syllables. Then we need to write something about the stones, and then we need to twist it in some fashion to get some sort of message at the end of it. You don't have to do that with a haiku, but it's one way of doing it. So wool-bound black feather. Stones lay silent. Stones quietude in silence. No, that's redundant, saying quietude and silence. So stones quietude under loud voices. Stones still quietude. Stones still quietude. We've only got two syllables left now. So wool-bound black feather, stones still quietude. Stone still quietude that remain. Haiku.
Too much of James May.
Sorry?
Too much of James May.
Is that what he does?
He did James May in Japan, and he tried to do haiku.
Oh, yes.
He was terrible at it.
Oh, yeah, me too. Wool-bound black feather, stone still quietude remain, friendly voice present. There we go. Friendly voice present. There we go. So the person who asked me whether I was writing poetry, then mentioned James May in Japan, is now in the poem, in the haiku. So wool-bound black feather, stone still quietude remain, friendly voice presents. Because that could be the voice from the stones, of course, and so forth. So there we go. The wool-bound black feather, stone still quietude remain, friendly voice presents. My first girlfriend, who was Chinese American, was one of the first people to give me the idea of writing haiku for travels and stuff like that. She would try and bind up an entire 2-week trip into a haiku because it helped her focus on what the most important thing was. So there we go. Oh. Got the another Fool's dog there. Okay, so if anyone's got any questions about the Lake District, about the sort of witchcraft that we practice here, the hedge witch material that I'm currently writing. Again, all of the hedge witch stuff comes from things like this, is finding natural magic in the world itself. That's why I say it is literally from the hedge itself that you find the magic. I'm also sending this this protection ritual as well to Charlotte Louise, who's currently visiting relatives, so she needs all the protection she can get. And yeah, I hope you feel somewhat encouraged, engaged with the whole process. You can have some of this protection, send it to you via the medium of the astral and the electrical, because we live in the real world as well. This is why I called it the Actual Magician's Bookshelf and not the Magician's Bookshelf. So if everyone would like to say bye to the stones, we can perhaps go and all get an ice cream together. That'd be nice. I wonder if they take bank cards. And we will wish the stones farewell, and I'll close off this live in a couple of minutes. And thank you if you join me in the live, it's appreciated. As I say, I'm testing all of these out for a YouTube workshop that I'm involved with at the moment, and they're encouraging us to try different sorts of lives, vertical lives, that is, actually vertical, not landscape ones. And yeah, it's been an interesting week so far, trying different sorts of things, a whole variety of things, just to see what might be of interest to people, what might be useful to people. I'm only going to do these if they're actually useful, or if they're sort of engaging, then that's good. But yeah, I think as long as they're useful, that's the main thing. And I hope this is a little demonstration as well of what I mean by actual magic, being able to be open to the magic of a place, the magic of the events, like the guy interrupting me about the poetry, just include that, incorporate and utilise it. It becomes part of the event, part of the stones. The weather's held off for us as well. In fact, there's actually blue sky over there. This is a typical English summer day here in the lakes, particularly. We've got blue sky over there, and then some rather darker, stormier clouds looking over there as well. Excellent birds, thank you for sharing this moment with us, and I look forward to more lives and so forth as we go along. So, farewell from Castlerigg, and as ever, the worker is hidden in the workshop. Bye for now.